What is going on, guys? We are about to head to go look at a mini truck. It is a ways away from us. We are gonna go check it out and take you guys along for the journey. Let's get into it.
You can come to my way just a little bit. No.
That way? So remember the mini truck we were talking about picking up? We brought her home. 1976 Ford Courier E100 cargo is what the post said. But let's get this thing unloaded and we'll check it out. Day we ended up picking up a 1976 Ford Courier. Don't know much about it. We know that it sat for 20 years. The last time it was registered was 2004. So let's see if we can get this thing running and rescue it. It is mostly original. Let's do a little walk around and show you guys what's going on with it. I didn't have much time to look at it yesterday, as where we picked it up at, it was in a pretty shady neighborhood. I'm just glad that we were able to pick it up and bring her home, and let's get into it. First things first, it is an older truck. I can see that it's missing the grill. The license plate's in the wrong spot. I think it's supposed to go in the center. It does have the original front wheels and tires, but the rears are off of something else. All the bed hooks are here. The body is pretty damn straight. We got a little dinger right there in the bumper, which is fine. What else? As you can see, those wheels and tires are not stock. They're huge. Might need an antenna, but for the most part, it's a pretty good looking rig for how old it is. Now on the inside, let's look on the inside here. Oh, the windshield is cracked, but it is on the passenger side, so we're not going to worry about that. There's definitely leaks going on. I mean, it was sitting for 20 years. Door's a little stiff. Got a yank on her. No door panel. Gotta look for that. Seat is here. Definitely got some holes going on in there. Dash seems to be in pretty crappy shape. It's all cracked up, speaker, all that good stuff. But at the same time, we are definitely going to be digging into this thing, trying to get it to run. That's the whole point of why I'm trying to shorten the camera down a little bit. But it has 69,000 miles on it. And by looking at the body and the pedals, which looks like we're missing a gas pedal, the pedals are in real good shape, which somewhat can tell the life of a vehicle. Don't quote me on that, but I'm almost betting that this thing is original 69,000 miles. Nothing is changed on it or altered, at least from what I can see. I don't know if it had a repaint done or what, but this paint is real nice on this truck. Bed, not too many dents. I don't see any holes. The tailgate's all here. All the mechanisms with the chains are still here. I think all in all, this is a pretty solid truck. Now there is some rust right here. I see some carburetors, so there's custom floorboards going on in here. I see a little toggle switch right here. I don't know what this goes to, but I mean, yep, there's definitely some rust in there. We'll address that later. All the wiring up in there looks fine. I mean, it's old, but it looks fine. And we're definitely gonna do a will it run on this video. Now let's pop the hood. That thing pops real nice. Whoa. Oh yeah. I think it's a little 1800. I do not think that this carburetor goes to it. It might, I don't know. That top adapter plate is the same shape as this air box, so maybe it goes to it. I have no idea. Fuel lines are not connected. There's no radiator hose on it, which, I mean, if we're just gonna get it to bark off, we don't need that. All the fuses are here, not blown. What else? It needs some windshield wipers, but the arms are still there. Let's see. It is a 109 cubic inch, 109.6 cubic inch. What else? Tokyo Kogoyo. What this? I see a lot of oil going on right here, so let's just spray this off with some carb cleaner and get into this, see if it'll run. We're gonna get all this stuff all cleaned off real quick. A little bit of brake clean, ain't gonna hurt nothing. I don't know if this guy was trying to start this or what, but I see that there's like different wires on here, and that one that goes down here is way long. This definitely does not go to this truck. I don't know nothing about it other than the story behind the truck was when we went to look at it. The guy was telling me that the owner of this gave it to his daughter 20 years ago, and she didn't like it, so it got parked The tags on the license plate are 2004, so that's telling us that the last time it was registered was 2004. But let's see if we can get this thing to bark off or start. I mean, this carburetor definitely does not go to this. You could tell by just looking at it that it's not the right carburetor. But technically you don't even need a carburetor to get a motor to fire off, so we might just pull that thing off. I mean, I'm sure there's all kinds of vacuum leaks going on with this carburetor, because I can see that the holes are like huge compared to the rest of the carburetor. They wallered them out. But there was 2 carburetors inside, so we might mess with one of those and see how far that gets us. But I mean, I do see a lot of oil on the side of this motor. I don't see a hole in the motor. The guy did hook a battery up and crank it over to show me it wasn't locked up, so that's a plus. But we don't know what the cylinder walls look like or any of that. So first things first is we're going to check the spark plugs and see what they look like. All right, so we just pulled the first spark plug out, and I went to pull this boot off, and this definitely is a problem. That'll definitely keep it from not running. These are trash, so let's just pull all of them off and just get new ones anyways. We'll just toss all these to the side for now. Just yank them all out. We'll just redo all of them. That cap's real loose on there too. I can see that distributor cap is very loose. But that's why we're working on it. We're gonna see if it'll run. Yeah, they're just crap on the inside too. I don't know if you can see that or not. We don't need that. Anyways, I pulled the first spark plug out. I just hit it with some brake clean, and it came out fairly nice. It does not look that bad. It was wet, smelled like fuel, so someone was trying to crank over on this thing before. There's auto lights in it, number 64. I'll look that up and see if that's the correct one for it. But let's get to it. Let's get these ones out. So I definitely wanted to do a will it run video. This is like perfect timing because I definitely wanted to add this to the channel. I feel like we scored. So look, the plugs are real wet and they smell like old gas. So let's just get all these out. We'll throw some penetrating oil down in the cylinder, lube her up a little, see if the motor will crank over. We did set a battery in here. We haven't hooked it up yet. Definitely fouled. Yeah, someone tried cranking on this thing. Maybe he did show me that it did turn over, but there's no fuel hooked up, so I don't know why there's fuel in it. But either way, let's just keep going on it. Maybe someone tried to start this before. I'm not sure, but we'll figure it out together. The big question is, will it run? Will it fire up? Can we get it to pop off? Again, fouled. No rust though, so I don't know. That's weird. So let's get here, let's just do it right now. So I'm gonna spray some penetrating oil down in there. Oh yeah. Now, this might get a little messy. Let's hook up the battery and see if we see anything smoking, or I believe they're both black, so I believe this one's the starter. It's a lot thicker than the other one, or the positive, I should say. Let's test it out. Well, we don't have a draw anywhere because it's not sparking when I hook this battery up. And I'm gonna move you guys out of the way so when I try to crank the motor over, you're not getting covered in starting fluid. Go ahead, Jesse, hit the key. Make sure it's in neutral. Crank it. It's cranking. Do it again. It don't sound like it's galloping either. Do it a couple more times. Again. Hold on. Try to put my finger down here and see if we have compression. Actually, I'm gonna do it from the other side of the motor. Move you out of the way over here. Go ahead. Oh yeah, she's got compression. You guys hear that? That's somewhat of a good sign, but I'm gonna pull all the wires off. I'm gonna look at that distributor cap and see what we got going on under there. All right, so we pulled all the spark plugs out, turned the motor over, get all that crap out of the cylinders. Now let's see if we have spark from the coil to the cap. So I'm just gonna pop this out real quick. I already got my test light over here somewhere. We're gonna hook up negative, positive. Yep, that's a good connection. So hit it. Do it again. Oh yeah, we got spark. Let's pop that cap off and see what that looks like underneath. Let's pop this cap off. See what we got going on under here, which it does look a little rusty, but we don't need this wire anyways. The cap actually looks in very good shape, so someone may have been in here, because this cap does not look bad at all. Oh yeah, watch this, guys. I am looking at the points, and if you ever so slightly watch this, it's definitely arcing out right there. Heck yeah, we might have a runner. Okay. Alright guys, so we're down here changing the oil. Don't know what it looks like. To me it looks like it's over full. See what we got coming out of this end. There's an old Jiffy Lube filter on here. Here it comes, it's black. No metal chunks at all that I see at all. Whoa, 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 we're spilling out here. It is black as hell though. This is some old used oil. It's got some viscosity to it, but we're gonna just change it anyways because I don't know who or what was in here, so it's not gonna hurt it to just put some fresh oil in it. I'm also gonna put some Restore in it, see what that can do. So I'll be right back. So we did the oil change. I don't want to bore you with that. Most people know how to do oil change. I had my son take off the radiator cap, and I can see that this whole top piece is broken off right here. So we're gonna need a radiator. But the first things first is all we're trying to do is get this thing to fire up. We don't need the radiator for that. Technically, we don't need that carburetor for that. But I already went ahead and put the filter on, drained the oil. It's nice and black. The valve train's lubed up, but let's just get some oil in her. I don't know if I need this funnel. I should be able to aim it pretty good. Little spillage, but it's fine. I'm also gonna add this 4-cylinder engine formula restorer. Shake her up real nice. I've never used this stuff before, so let's see what it does. If I can get the lid off. It says restores compression, horsepower, engine life, and reduces oil consumption. Add to engine oil. So that's what we're doing. It's a nice blue color, so I'm sure it's got all the good stuff in it. Don't need that. I'm gonna need a rag real quick so I can clean up my mess on the top of this valve cover. Looks like 2-stroke oil. Almost done. That should work. Bryce, can you hand me a rag real quick?
Nope. Dad.
Just me and the boys hanging out today. Now we're going to put the spark plugs on. I went down to the parts store, grabbed some new plugs, or sorry, some new wires. We're gonna use the old plugs because they don't look too bad. I'm just gonna do a quick cleaning off, maybe a little wire brush action, and stick these bad boys in. All right, guys, we got the spark plugs all cleaned up, putting those guys in. They did not have a set of plug wires for Courier, so I just improvised and used any 4-cylinder like an S10. We're not going to use the coil wire because it's way too short, but we did get spark out of that earlier, so we should be good on that. We should be pretty close to somewhat trying to pop this thing off and see if it'll start. So we don't need this guy. These wires are way too long, but they'll work. I was gonna rob them off of the Mazda over there. Which I might have to do. Because I don't think that these are big enough. Oh, am I gonna get lucky? Nope. That's not gonna work. So, be right back. Alright, so we basically just robbed the wires off the Roadster real quick, since we already have the battery out of the Roadster. It just doesn't seem like it wants to sit in there very well. But we'll see what happens. One, 3, 4, 2 is what we're shooting for. 1, 3. Get on there. On real quick. 1, 3, 4, 2. I don't know how good these wires are going to work on here, but we're going to just try it. Get these up out of the way real quick. And our coil wire here somewhere. Alright. Let's see what happens, guys. I'm going to put a little bit of VP small engine fuel. It's a pre-mixed gas 50 to 1. I don't know how long this motor's been sitting, so let's lube up what we can. I'm gonna get a rag real quick. We do have a fire extinguisher on standby, but if I need to choke it, make sure it's out of gear. Fire in the hole. Just bump it. Do it again. Keep going. Stop. Try it again. Hold on a second. Go ahead. Stop. Let it sit for a second. Try it again. Hold on. We might not be getting spark.
Oh my god, it's smoking!
So we got some type of combustion coming out the thermostat. I'm just gonna pull this number 1 off real quick and see if we're getting spark out of the distributor. Go ahead. Good. We're getting it out of the distributor. Try to fire it up again.
Just stop.
What?
Just stop on its own.
Go ahead. Let's see what we can do, guys. Alright guys, so what I did was I pulled that carburetor off. It only had 3 bolts on it. Obviously that was definitely not gonna work. I also pulled the spark plugs out. They were fouled. What I'm going to do is I have plugs on the way, and we're gonna just change the plugs. I cleaned out the cap and I used a little piece of sandpaper in the points over there. Cleaned them off a little bit, so hopefully when we put these plugs back in, it'll try to do something. Yeah, when we get there, when we get there, or actually when the spark plugs get to us, we will attempt to try to fire it up again. See what happens. Fingers crossed. See what happens, guys. New plugs in. She's a smoker. Hit it. She's trying to fire. For some reason, I keep getting smoke coming out of the, what appears to be the thermostat. It's kind of odd. We'll let her sit for a minute. So I know it's building some type of compression because we can hear it. So I'm gonna try to loosen up the distributor real quick and see if we can mess with the timing a little bit. Give me 1 second. Alright, crank it over. Go ahead. Nothing. It's getting spark to the spark plug. It's just not wanting to fire off. I mean, it don't help that I don't have a carburetor on here, but go ahead. Try it again real quick. Not sure what it is, guys. She should be barking off no problem, but maybe it needs a carburetor on it. Who knows? It's not getting fuel. That's the problem. Obviously there's no carburetor on here. Normally you can just shoot some starting fluid right there. You should be good to go. All this stuff seems tight on the intake. I don't know. Knock on wood, we can figure it out. Hey guys, so it is the next day. It rained a lot last night. We brought the truck inside, and not trying to overthink stuff, I may have lied to you. Maybe you do need a carburetor to get this thing fired up. I'm not gonna run any fuel lines or anything, but there's this Weber that this thing came with, which I know is not the right one. I could tell by the base of it that it's not the right size, but all I'm trying to do is get this thing to fire off. I did find out that while I was under the truck doing the oil change, there was a, let me get you over here. There was somebody had put oil in the radiator. Luckily, I don't think it made it into the motor, but I took that hose off down below. I unscrewed the radiator, drain plug, oil came out. With that being said, hopefully there is not a blown head gasket in this thing, but if there is, we're just gonna put a pin in this real quick, push it to the side, because I do have some really good plans with this thing, but I don't know. You guys tell me what I should do with this thing. It is pretty nice. The paint on it is in really good shape. It's kind of hard to see in this lighting, but the paint is in really good shape. You can see that there is a shine to it. And also, if this was a repaint, they did a damn good job on repainting this truck, because I can't tell anywhere if it's been resprayed or not. With that being said, please comment down below and tell me what you think I should do with this thing. Should we slam it? I don't really want to cut it up. Can it be a possible giveaway truck? That might be an option. I don't know. Let's get this carburetor on here and see what we can do with this. Get this carburetor on here. Little 2-barrel. I don't know if it goes to it. I have no idea. I don't think it does. I think like the electrical's in the wrong spot. But we're just gonna try to see what we can do with this. See if she's a runner. Do we need to pull a motor? I don't know. We're doing it together. I felt like this thing kicked my ass yesterday, but that's why we're back on it today. Sometimes you just gotta walk away from it for a second. Two more on the back. And of course, I don't have gigantic hands, but it's always very difficult to reach in here on these little 4-cylinders to get these bolts on. Dang it. Drop that one. Now I gotta find it wherever it went. Obviously there'll be like a bunch of vacuum leaks because I'm not gonna hook this carburetor all the way up. But we're not driving it. We're just trying to get it to run for a second. Again, this thing sat for 20 years. Well, that's the last time it was registered. We've got to get one more nut, which the one that I took to the parts store to get, I still have it. They're all the same size, so that's a plus. All we want to do is just hear this thing fire off. I don't want to put too much money into it if I don't know that it runs yet. If not, we're just gonna have to pull the motor and see what we got going on. Man, these things are a pain in the butt. That door's a little sticky, needs some adjustment. Trying to get this thing out. Windows crank nice. Door shut solid. I mean, the body alone is worth more than what I paid for the truck, so if we can get this thing rolling down the street on its own power, I think it'd be awesome, especially after sitting for so long. Alright guys, almost buttoned up. We're getting this carburetor on here. Took me a minute. I was fighting some of the nuts. The studs are long enough, it's just a pain in the butt to get in here. I got this bent 1/2-inch wrench I'm working on with. Alright. Oh, I see the nut that I dropped. I don't know how it landed where it did, but it did. Now it's on the floor, easy to get to. I already filled the bowl up, but we're gonna fill it all the way now. She's definitely got some fuel in her. Let's just find out, guys. See what happens. These fuel lines are definitely not the right ones, but for the shop. Not yet. I'm almost betting that this thing's got a blown head gasket. We need to turn the fan on in here. Alright guys, we're back. One thing that I should have done in the very beginning, which I'm doing now, is a compression check on this motor. And basically, I'm guessing that this thing has a blown head gasket, but let's see what we find out. So I'm on the number 1 cylinder right now. Go ahead. We got 76 on the number 1. Now I don't know how much compression these are supposed to have, but we're gonna check all of them. 76. Number 2. Alright, there's our problem right there. That had 30. Let's go to number 3. So I picked this truck up fairly inexpensive. So if we got to put some money in it, that's fine. But like I said, we might put a pin in this one for a minute if we're gonna have to pull the motor out. But that's part of mini trucking, part of any car stuff. I mean, it's a crapshoot. It's been sitting for 20 years. Maybe this is why it was sitting for 20 years. Maybe it had a blown head gasket and that's why it sat. Number 3. Come on, get in there. Number 3. Same thing. Hardly any compression. So the rings are definitely gone in this thing.
What was that one?
30. I mean, you win some, you lose some. I'm just glad that this thing has a really, really nice body on it. So that's a plus. But other than that, it looks like we're not having much compression, which definitely will make it not run. I mean, I kind of had a feeling that that was one of the issues because I kept seeing smoke come out of the thermostat housing and the water pump. So I mean, it is creating some type of compression, but not enough to fire the motor. I can also see it almost looks like oil on the spark plug, which, I mean, that's a telltale sign the rings are no good. But that's why we're doing this. I mean, I'm guessing this thing should have at least 100 pounds of compression. I'm no expert, but go ahead, number 4. Stop for 1 second. I want to see. It hit 60, so I mean, we're going in the right direction, but that's definitely not enough to get this motor to run. I mean, if we got to pull it out, we got to pull it out. No big deal. There's not much to this. It's not like there's a bunch of wiring. This is why I like older stuff, because you can actually work on it. Try it again. We had 60 that time. Nope, that's our issue, guys. 60 again. Blown head gasket, and the rings are no good, so this motor is definitely gonna have to be rebuilt. It is what it is. Alright guys, so you saw the compression test. It is what it is. I mean, the truck was sitting for 20 years hoping that it would run, but obviously there's no compression. I mean, 70s, the highest we got, 76 was the highest we got on number 1. So with that being said, we're gonna have to pull this thing out, but we're gonna put this thing on the back burner for a minute and jump into some other projects. Coming up next is we're going to be doing a lot of interviews starting here real quick. We're going to be putting air ride manifold on Foolish. We got a couple more things to do, but at the same time we got projects. So with that being said, dreams are only fantasy if you're not willing to put in the work, literally, and that's what we're going to have to do on this. Catch you on the next one, guys. Dreams, 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 dreams.